Hey everyone, it's Lindsay Hoffman and welcome to the Dose of Bliss show. Today I have Dr. Alice Fong and she is known as the virtual stress doctor. Today we're going to be talking about how to turn stress into happiness, which we all need right now. So thank you for coming on the show and helping us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
So before we get started, what is a virtual stress doctor and what is it that you do that's different?
Yeah, great question. So I am trained as a naturopathic doctor, which a lot of people have no idea what that is. And what a naturopathic doctor is more of a holistic integrative doctor that focuses on treating the root cause using more natural tools. So that's nutrition and lifestyle, stress management, looking at your relationships, looking at your whole life, your job satisfaction, like all those factors, and finding more natural solutions to those issues that a lot of people are dealing with. And I've been a doctor for 8 years now, and I've always felt like stress is kind of the source and root cause for so many other conditions, not just physical symptoms like insomnia or digestive issues or headaches, but also just like our emotional, mental well-being seems to be impacted by stress, especially during this time with
Mhm.
all that we have going on with the pandemic. It's a stressful time. And the thing is that it can lead to negative impacts in our body if we're always in this stress mode, because we don't know how long this pandemic's going to last. But if we're always stressing about it every moment of every day, that's going to deplete our immune system. That's going to just leave us feeling exhausted and icky all day long. And we want to be able to turn it into happiness and be able to, even in the face of all this chaos that we're dealing with, how do we find those moments of bliss and happiness?
Mhm.
So important, crucial. So before this whole pandemic, I feel lucky because I was already mostly doing virtual consulting anyways. So
Mhm.
when the pandemic happened, I didn't have to transition that aspect of my life too much. And I find it that, people are busy and they're stressed, and being a virtual practitioner allows me to be more accessible and convenient for
Mhm.
those busy professionals that don't have the time to like drive out and deal with traffic and parking to go see a doctor.
Mhm. You can just get on the computer or your phone.
Right. Just hop on a call. We'll address whatever it is that they're dealing with in their life and give them some tools to.
Yeah, perfect for the stressful person. You don't have to add more stress to getting in touch with you.
Exactly. You don't have to deal with the commute. Mhm.
So, what I think is so interesting about what you found and about a naturopathic doctor is the effect of stress on your health. A lot of people on my YouTube channel, I have a journey of having crazy stomach problems last year,
Mhm.
and I had to go on this journey to heal it. And I realized a huge factor of it was stress. And I would go to the doctor and they would try to figure out, there was no answer. Sometimes they would say maybe it's stress, and I'd get angry, being like, what do you mean? Like, I have all these symptoms. It's hard to know the difference when something actually is happening. But as I've unraveled this journey, I've realized 90% of my health issues are stress, and 10% is maybe something physical. But the big aspect is stress.
Mhm.
Working in this field, what have you seen manifest in the body that stress that people wouldn't realize?
Yeah, no, that's a key example that you gave. I see digestive issues manifesting from stress a lot of the times, because when you're in stress mode, your body is in that fight or flight mode. It's not focusing on digestion. So if you're always in stress mode, your body's not thinking about digestion. It's thinking about running away from some danger. So other things that I might see is like skin issues, breakouts, headaches is a common one, sleep issues is a really common thing that I see, and difficulty with concentration or memory, inability to focus and concentrate. Those are all things that I see manifest out of stress. And I'm not saying like stress is the only sole contributor to whatever concern they have, but it's just usually a big contributing factor.
So, how do we identify
Mhm.
that stress is our cause or what the cause is?
Mhm.
Because, for example, me, I recently realized I live in a constant state of stress, but to me, it's normal. So,
Yeah,
I don't know how I got here, but to me, it's like a regular state of being, and I don't realize that it's even happening. I have to consciously be like, how do I get this to stop? How do we identify that? How do we know that these things are the causes?
yeah, no, that's a really great question, because you really want to be able to develop some body awareness first and foremost, you need to know what the signs and symptoms are of stress. When we're in stress mode, our heart races, our pupils dilate, we sweat, our breathing quickens. There's our blood pressure rises. There's all these symptoms that happen because our body is gearing up to be able to run away from a danger. But there is a way. What I always say is that even though we can't necessarily change the stressors in our life, we can't necessarily just quit our jobs or send our kids to boarding school and be free of whatever stress that we can't just magically snap this pandemic away. But we can train our bodies to respond to stress in a healthier way. And that's with mindfulness practice or getting some counseling or therapy or there's so many tools and modalities that we can implement to be able to handle stress, no matter what it is. So we're only reacting when there's actual physical danger, like if a bear walked into a room, then you need to activate the stress mode to run away. But if we're always like stress, bear in room all the time, then it's gonna add up and cause some issues eventually.
So I know you have like a 5-step program to getting rid of stress. What are some of the tips that you have?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So my 5-step holistic process to alleviate stress and be able to be more focused and energized and productive involves, like, first, it's called the Amore system because my business name is Amore de Soi, which stands for love of self, because it's important to treat or take care of ourselves so we can be there for others. And my Amore system, the A stands for amazing foundation, which is you have to have a strong foundation before you can build on anything else. So that means a good, clean diet, exercising regularly. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Just like the basic things that everyone knows, but they're not necessarily doing the things that they know. So they know those pieces, but you got to have a strong foundation before you do anything else. And so the next piece, the M, stands for mindfulness, which, having a meditation practice or some sort of mindfulness breathing exercise. Some of the tools that I do is hypnotherapy and biofeedback, which is kind of like a relaxation training program in a sense, and really exploring what's going on. With the hypnotherapy, it's about exploring what's going on in the subconscious mind that's like really causing those mental emotional barriers that is getting in your way of doing those things that you need to be doing, like eating healthy. And then the O in my system is for ordering labs, because as a doctor, I can order specialty labs, but it is a little different than your traditional basic blood work. Basic blood work is kind of just ruling out if you have any major diseases. It's not really telling you how to optimize your health and feel better energy-wise, mood-wise, concentration-wise, focus-wise. Those are the labs that I'm looking at, like your food sensitivities and allergies, your hormones, your neurotransmitters, your adrenal function, which is your adrenal glands are your glands that sit on top of your kidneys that secrete the stress hormone cortisol. So if you're always stress, it's like shooting cortisol like crazy, and that's not good for our bodies in the long run. Or if it's shooting out cortisol like crazy all the time, eventually your adrenal glands get super tired out and they're like, I don't have anything left in the tank. So it's like, boom. And so that's another thing we don't want, because then it's like when stress is going to happen, then your body's like, can't handle it. Nope. It's just like tapped out. And so that's really important to assess where your body's at so we can dial in on what's the best approach to help you feel your best in your body and your mind. And so the next step, the U in my Amore system, is for uncover root cause by looking at the hypnotherapy or the lab work, really exploring deeper on what is the source, what are those issues like causing, like addressing that rather than just putting like, it's not that I'm anti-pharmaceutical at all. I think there's definitely a time and a place, but if that's always our go-to answer for every little thing, maybe that's something we need to step back and look at what else in our life is going on, because the pharmaceutical is not curing your problem. It's just kind of minimizing the symptom temporarily, but it doesn't.
Sometimes they add more problems.
Yeah,
like my acid reflux, they gave me acid reflux problems, and it made me have autoimmune systems. My doctors thought I had an autoimmune disease, and I'm like, no, it's this medicine. I have to stop it.
Yeah, and absolutely, there's so many side effects to the medication that cause more problems. So instead of just like putting a Band-Aid on the problem, let's like get to the source. Like if you have headaches all the time, yeah, you could take Advil every time you have a headache, but does that really solve your headaches in the long run? Maybe you have a food sensitivity. Maybe your neck is so tight and you need to get a massage, or maybe there's like issues with your spouse or your boss that you need to really address. So it's like looking at those other factors that can be contributing to the headaches, rather than just be like, oh, Advil, that's all I'm gonna do. So and then the last step of my system, the R, stands for revitalize, which is about, for me, it's, as a doctor, it's not just about being symptom free. I actually want you to live your best life and breathe life into any aspect of your life that isn't thriving as you would like it to. So whether that's your relationships, your work, your sense of fulfillment in life, just having that feeling of thriving and energy versus we tend to be like depleted and exhausted and overwhelmed a lot. So breathing life into whatever aspect of your life is important to you is important.
I love that approach. And something that stood out to me too is identifying that a food sensitivity could cause stress. Can you tell us more about that? Because that's something I'm trying to find out more of. And it's so interesting to know you could be eating something that's giving you anxiety, but you don't know you have the sensitivity.
Yeah, no, food can absolutely impact your mood and your energy and cause anxiety in a lot of different ways. Because especially in this day of age, where in America we eat a lot of processed foods and a lot of foods with so much processed sugar. And that, people don't even realize, because it's just in everything. They don't realize how addicted we've become to sugar and how it causes our brain fog, or it impacts our mood and our energy, causes these like blood sugar crashes if you're always like overdosing on the sugar. So being more present and aware, if you were to take it out of your system for a while, or anything, it doesn't have to be sugar, it could be anything that causes inflammation in your body, that's causing inflammation, even though mentally you might not feel stressed. If you're eating a food that's causing inflammation, whether that's maybe gluten or dairy or something else, that is putting stress on your body. If you have a medical condition like diabetes, that's putting stress on your body. So even though mentally, emotionally you're fine, but if you're doing a lot of things that stress out your body, it's causing that same reaction to some degree.
You can have like a body stress as well. And
yeah,
and so what is something unique you've noticed that has been a root cause of stress? Like, for example, have you ever noticed someone eat some like corn, and if they eliminate corn, their like depression and anxiety is reduced by like a certain amount? Or have you seen something simple that someone can do in their lifestyle, like even something as small as like having a bedtime and a time to wake up, or a time to eat through the day? Do you have any examples like that of something someone watching can do that could switch up their mood a lot?
Oh yeah, there's so many things we can do, and I'm not saying you should do this and not that or whatever, but I think if I were to really break it down, the best thing you can do for your mood, your energy, your sense of happiness and well-being would just to eat less processed food. Just cut out the junk, eat more vegetables. And as a society, we're not eating enough vegetables. So if you could or even if that seems too challenging, just to begin to develop awareness of what you're putting in your body, because the inputs in your body, what you consume, cause the outputs of your body, and how you are able to be productive or energized or stressed or relaxed through the day. Your body, the food you put in your body is either fueling your body to get through your day, or it's kind of not. So it's the opposite. So it's kind of dragging you down. If you're always relying on those energy drinks or that sugar or that whatever thing to kind of give you a perk, then you have to kind of notice, like, am I being reliant on this? And it tends to cause like a dip in energy later in the day, versus like eating constant vegetables is sustaining your energy through the day.
So yeah, amazing. And so you have your podcast as well. She has an amazing podcast, which I'll link below, that's all about, finding happiness and being happy. How do we go from stress to happiness? It seems like such a big gap sometimes when you think of how stressed someone can be.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the bigger things, there's a lot of ways to go, but one of the things that I think about is, acceptance of the situation for what it is. When we resist reality, like, yes, this pandemic kind of sucks for a lot of people. It's impacting a lot of businesses. It's impacting a lot of lives. It is terrible. But if we're always like upset about it in our way of being, rather than being like, the situation is the situation, because that's the situation and we can't do anything about it. I mean, yeah, people are being proactive about looking for creating a vaccine. That's awesome. And they're doing what they can. But, you know, the situation right now, we can decide for ourselves, is this going to cause me stress every moment of every day? Or am I going to choose to be a certain way about it? And it's hard. It's a practice in itself. It's hard to just like not let all these negative things impact you and cause you to feel like unhappy and upset or sad throughout your day. But just being, if you can learn to just be with it however it is, then it just kind of relieves a lot of different stress in your life. Because at that point, then you start to have control over, if you can accept responsibility for not only your own happiness is one step, but the second thing is accepting responsibility for your own suffering, which is not something people want to do, because they want to blame their circumstances and their situation for their problems, rather than being like, I am the source of my suffering. But if I am the source of my suffering, then I get to be responsible for my own happiness. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, like, instead of blaming COVID or my spouse or my job for why my life sucks, I could be like, okay, these things are what it is, and what do I need to do within myself to be able to be accepting of that? Doesn't mean you are complacent with however it is. It doesn't mean you don't want to do anything about it, but it's just being like, not letting whatever negative force in your life impact who you are and how you interact with that. And imagine if you were like with your spouse, like, who's causing a lot of upset and anger and annoyance, and you're always being like upset and angry at them. Mm-hmm. If you just were like not upset with them one day, and they would be like, what's going on? Why are you so happy and fine? Do you think that might change how you interact with each other if you were being happy and not upset with them? It might shift things. It might not. I don't know, but it's worth seeing what might happen, because you might probably would have a better outcome than if you just stayed upset about it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with yourself. If you're in a constant state of stress and being angry with yourself, and then all of a sudden you stop, your body's like, what do I do with myself? This is what I do all day. I have to find something to be upset about. Like, I'm used to living in this state. And you know what happens if you just take a moment and love yourself and calm down and take that time to unwind? You know, there's a whole other world out there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
So we only have a few minutes left. What's the biggest tip you want people to leave with?
I think the biggest tip would be to just, even if you're really busy or stressed or anxious, and that's okay, to, you know, take a moment for yourself to reflect with what you need for you, and that it's okay to take, even like, I get like there's a lot going on with the world and with your life, but if you could just take a moment for you and not feel guilty about that, that's my biggest takeaway. That like, we need to take care of ourselves as a matter of survival. Mortis was not self-love in a narcissistic way. It's self-love in like, if you don't take care of yourself, then there will be nothing left in the tank to give to others. So you have to, it's a matter of survival that you take care of yourself. So
very important.
Feel guilty if you take 5, 10, an hour, 5 hours for yourself sometimes when you are feeling burnt and tired.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. Well, thank you for the amazing advice. It helps me, and I know it's going to help so many people watching. Can you let everyone know where they can subscribe to you on YouTube and find out more about you?
Yes, my handle on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is just Dr. Alice Fong. That's DrAlicefong. Or you can check out my website, www.dralicefong.com.
Amazing. I will link all of that below, and you guys have to check her out. Thank you so much for coming, and we will see you all next time for the next Dose of Bliss. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.